So, Buddhas of the past and future only talk about seeing your nature. All practices are impermanent. Unless you see your nature, people who claim to have attained unexcelled complete enlightenment are liars. Among Shakyamuni Buddha's 10 greatest disciples, Ananda was foremost in learning. Ananda was like the super PhD. He was like the super duper duper PhD guy, monk, in Buddha's group. But he didn't know the Buddha. All he did was study and memorize. Arhats don't know the Buddha. All they know are so many practices for realization, and they become trapped by cause and effect. That is just a sentient being's karma. No escape from birth and death. By doing the opposite of what he intended, such people just injure the Buddha. They curse the Buddha. Killing them would not be wrong. Killing them would not be wrong. Amazing. The sutras say, since ikantikas are incapable of belief, killing them would be blameless, whereas people who believe reach the state of Buddhahood. That's all. So people with heretical views, people who attach to words, people who promote different doctrines, theories, analyze, encourage you to read more books about Buddhism, are actually injuring the Buddha's teaching. Whereas people who have one insight into their true nature are blameless, are sinless. Unless you see your nature, you shouldn't go around criticizing the goodness of others. There's no advantage in deceiving yourself. Good and bad are very clear. Cause and effect are clear. Heaven and hell are right before your eyes. Heaven and hell are right before your eyes. But fools don't believe that and fall straight into a hell of endless darkness without even knowing it. What keeps them from believing is the heaviness of their karma. That's all. What keeps you from seeing your nature is only the heaviness of your karma. They're like blind people who don't believe there's such a thing as light. That's amazing. People who don't see their nature, who don't believe that that sound. I'm glad we have a lot of people coughing because it provides very interesting examples of seeing your Buddha nature here. That's it. Just hear it. But we don't hear that. We don't hear the wind outside right now. So, the only thing that prevents you from hearing that and believing that experience, not the sound object, but believing that experience, that moment of hearing, believing that that's you, the only thing that prevents it is just heavy karma. That's all. Attachment to thinking, mind, habit. That's all. Even if you explain it to them, they still don't believe because they're blind. How can they possibly distinguish light? The same holds true for fools who end up among the lower orders of existence or among the poor and despised. They can't live and they can't die. And despite their sufferings, if you ask them, they say they're happy as gods. All mortals, even those who think themselves well-born, are likewise unaware. Because of the heaviness of karma, such fools can't believe and can't get free. So, very important point. Buddha's teaching is very immediate. It happens right now. Seeing your true nature doesn't happen tomorrow. We always think that it's sort of a process, but it's not that. It happens right now. Just like that. So, people who see that their mind is the Buddha don't need to shave their head. People who see that their mind is the Buddha don't need to shave their head. Laymen are Buddhas too. Unless they see their nature, people who shave their head are simply crazy. So, if you don't work to see your nature, just shaving your head is not enough. You have to see your nature. But since married laymen don't give up sex, how can they become Buddhas? Ah, interesting. I only talk about seeing your nature. Bodhidharma's teachings. This teaching is only about seeing your nature. I don't talk about sex simply because you don't see your nature. Once you see your nature, sex is basically immaterial. It ends along with your delight in it. Even if some habits remain, they can't harm you because your nature is essentially pure. Even if some karma for that remains, it doesn't matter because your nature is still fundamentally pure. Despite dwelling in a material body of 4 elements, your nature is basically pure. It can't be corrupted. Your real body is basically pure. It can't be corrupted. Your real body has no sensation, no hunger or thirst, no warmth or cold, no sickness, no love or attachment, no pleasure or pain, no good or bad, no shortness or length, no weakness or strength. Actually, there's nothing here. There's nothing here. Nothing. You think that there's something here that you should keep pure. You think that there's some mind that you should keep clean. You think that there's some mind that you should keep correct. You think that there's some object that you should protect from sin. But there's nothing there. Even Osama bin Laden and George Bush, a saint or a sinner, have the same empty nature. No matter how much sin, quote unquote, no matter how much bad, no matter how much evil they commit, it's the same nature. It's never changed by it. It's like a bad smell that appears in a room, a very bad smell. Everyone has experienced this. Have you ever gone into a room and a bad smell appears? If you notice, the bad smell eventually disappears. It can't stay in the room. It can't in a space outside. Space can never be changed by the actions that are committed within space. It's all very simple. Our nature is just like that. Your real body is basically pure. It can't be corrupted. Your real body has no sensation, no hunger or thirst, no warmth or cold, no sickness, no love or attachment, no pleasure or pain, no good or bad, no shortness or length, no weakness or strength. Actually, there's nothing here. There's nothing here. There's nothing here. It's only because you cling to this material body. It's just because you cling to this material body. It's just because you cling to this, because you're attached to this, that things like hunger and thirst, warmth and cold, and sickness appear. It's only because you attach to this experience. This is the point. It's only because you really concern yourself with this thing that you are moved by sickness or health, warmth or cold, sadness or happiness, fear or pleasure, only because you're attached to this. But if you, in Buddhism, thing means don't ignore them. Buddhism doesn't mean ignore. Meditation practice does not mean to shut off your thinking. You never shut off your thinking. It means return. 回光返照. Return to the place. What is feeling warmth? What is feeling cold? What is sad? What is worried? What is that point? If you look, there's nothing there. The first time I experienced that, and I was still a layman, I was not a monk. 2 years before I became a monk, I was doing a retreat in the Cambridge Zen Center. And at the time, because I was not very used to meditation, my knees, I couldn't sit meditation correct. I used to sit like this. My knees were kind of up like this, and I used to sit like this. It was very difficult, my very bad pain. And especially because I did lots of sports when I was a younger student, lots of sports, especially American football. One day, we were doing a 3-day retreat in the Cambridge Zen Center in Cambridge, Massachusetts, near Harvard, when I was a Harvard student. And head monk was a very strict person, very strict. So any kind of movement, bam! If you moved, bam! If you, bam! Very strong. You couldn't move. And this person, maybe they practiced in a Japanese tradition, so a little maybe samurai style. But this very interesting style. Sometime maybe try this. So you couldn't move. So all of your attention was one point. So I remember sitting. I could not sit meditation. Very difficult. And my right knee was so much pain. It felt like a knife, like a needle, like a steel needle going through my knee, because I had injured my knee playing football, American football. Couldn't stand up, couldn't move, couldn't massage my leg, so I had to sit there. And of course, I wanted to be very good about sitting. So, what is this? So I looked at myself. I'm in pain. I'm hurting. I'm suffering. But what's really interesting is I couldn't change that situation physically. So I had no choice. I had to look into who is suffering. I'm suffering. I'm suffering. But this I that, where am I? What is the I that is suffering? What is the I? If when I looked at it, nothing there. When you look, where is this I that is suffering? The I'm. Where is that person? Where is that thing that when you look, there's no suffering place. There's no thing that's suffering. That was a big kind of place. That was a big kind of moment for my meditation. Because, if you look deeply enough, there's no place where suffering happens. And when you look at the suffering itself, it's also, there's nothing there. It has no substance, suffering itself. It's like this. When you experience suffering, maybe you experience it as a length of experience. But when you really look into the suffering, when you look into pain, it becomes collapsed, like one point. Understand? When you think of, oh, I'm suffering, this is terrible, I can't wait, this has to finish, when is it going to finish? I don't know, 5 more minutes, I don't know when this is going to finish, oh, I cannot endure, I want to stand up, I want to kill that head monk, why is he doing this, boom, 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 boom. It's a length of experience, therefore it's suffering. But if you look into suffering, this is when I was still a layman. When you looked into the experience, there's nothing there. There is nothing there. And this is actually not just some mystical kind of meditation experience. It's not very difficult. So, what Bodhidharma's thing is, it's not there. There's no place. There's nothing here. So when I was doing that meditation retreat, just looking inside, first there was an object, pain. And then there's a subject, I, who has this pain. But if you look at the subject, it's not there. It's actually literally experienced. It's not there. And when you look at what the subject is experiencing, this object, this pain, that's also not there. Try it sometime. Try it. It's a very interesting, anyway, you cannot escape pain. So try looking into it. Rather than pushing it away, which is what we normally do, look into it. Ask yourself, who is suffering? Not only in the body, in a retreat. Many times in a retreat, you get angry. When you're, not just a retreat, well, many times in a retreat, you do too. But when you're meditating, or when you get angry, you think the anger is real, so the anger has power. It's real, becomes real. But if you look, what is angry? If you look, instead of the anger thing, looking at that, like that's not real. But look, where did it come from? What is angry? Nothing there. There's nothing there. That's what Bodhidharma means. So this is not just some theory. This is not some teaching that you learn and believe. You can actually experience it. You can actually have insight into it. It's right in front of your nose. So once you stop clinging and let things be, you'll be free, even of birth and death. You'll transform everything. You'll possess spiritual powers that can't be obstructed. And you'll be at peace wherever you are. If you doubt this, you'll never see through anything. You're better off doing nothing. Once you act, you can't avoid the cycle of birth and death. But once you see your nature, you're a Buddha, even if you work as a butcher. You're a Buddha, even if you work as a butcher. But butchers create karma by slaughtering animals. How can a butcher be a Buddha? I only talk about seeing your nature, Bodhidharma says. I don't talk about the issue of creating karma. Regardless of what we do, our karma has no hold on us. Our karma has no hold on us. Very important. Our karma cannot hold us. It cannot. There's nothing to hold. You can't hold space. If I can't hold this space, how can karma hold or constrain my true self? How can nothing restrain nothing? It's not possible. But when we're thinking, we're obstructed by karma. Sadness karma, anger karma, fear karma, regret karma, doubt karma, ambition karma, desire karma. Any kind of karma restrains us when we're thinking. But who is thinking? When you ask that, there's no place for karma to stay. Only understanding these words cannot help you. You have to look inside yourself. Then this becomes real to you. No matter how nice these words seem to come out of my mouth. Very nice storyteller. But they can't help you. But when you realize that, then it has some use for your life. So, what am I? There's only one way. What am I? Or when you're chanting, or Om Mani Padme, Om Mani Padme, Om Mani Padme. Asking, not just doing that with your lips, but asking, who is doing Om Mani Padme Om? Who is doing Kwanzaa Bozo? Who heard that? Child. Who heard that? When you ask that, there's nothing there. 아무것도 없어요. Completely empty space. That is our nature. Also, that word's a mistake, too. Once you stop clinging and let things be, you'll be free, even of birth and death. You'll transform everything. You'll possess spiritual powers that can't be obstructed, and you'll be at peace wherever you are. If you doubt this, you'll never see through anything. You're better off doing nothing. Once you act, you can't avoid the cycle of birth and death. But once you see your nature, you're a Buddha, even if you work as a butcher. So that's the point. Seeing your nature is all. That's Buddha. Beginning and middle and end. Seeing your nature, that's all. Regardless of what we do, our karma has no hold on us. Through endless kalpas without beginning, it's only because people don't see their nature. It's only because they don't see their nature that they end up in some kind of hell. It's only because they don't see their nature that they end up in they make some hell. That's why. As long as a person creates karma, he keeps passing through birth and death. But once a person realizes his original nature, he stops creating karma. If he doesn't see his nature, invoking Buddhas won't release him from his karma, regardless of whether or not he's a butcher. But once he sees his nature, all doubts vanish. All doubts vanish. Even a butcher's karma has no effect on such a person. So, karma, true nature. Actually, they're not two different things. Karma and true nature. It's the same substance. It's the same substance. It's empty. Karma is empty. True nature is fundamentally empty. But when you're thinking, you think your karma is real. Your sad karma feels sad. Your frustrated karma feels frustrated. Your desire karma feels desirous. And you think that that desire is real. That's karma. So you've taken something empty, and only because of thinking. So Descartes said, I think, therefore I am. I think. A better translation of that into English is, I think, therefore this I is. It exists. I think, therefore I exists. American I, American thinking. Korean thinking makes Korean I. Urinara. American thinking makes American I. We're the best. We're the strongest. That's all. It's only thinking. But it's empty. So Buddhist teaching is just returning to that fundamental experience of our nature. Language and behavior, perception and conception are all functions of a moving mind. All motion is the mind's motion. Motion is its function. Apart from motion, there's no mind. And apart from mind, there's no motion. But motion isn't our true mind. And our true mind is not motion. Motion is basically mindless. And the mind is basically motionless. But motion doesn't exist without mind, and mind doesn't exist without motion. So, if you give rise to one thought, that's mind. That's thinking. That thinking comes from mind, but it is fundamentally empty. That's all. So, when your mind moves, if you attach to it, that's what he's calling motion. But it hasn't moved at all, actually. The arising of one thought. Many people, because we follow our thoughts out of habit, it's like this. I often do this. Everybody take your finger. Take your finger in front of you like this. Everybody has a finger. Take your finger like this. Your finger is not moving, right? Watch. Everyone has this is beautiful. We want to understand Bodhidharma and moving my finger. Now, watch me first, then follow me. Put it right in front of your nose. Then go like this. Really fast. Okay, let's do it. Just do this. And try to look at your finger. Try to look at your finger. Keep going. Keep going. Stop. Well, your mind is moving, yeah? When you're doing that, it looks like your finger is moving. It seems like your finger is moving. It's like this. I often say, in an interview, have someone stand up. They say, oh, my thinking is always moving. My whole world is always changing. It's always moving. So I often say, stand up and spin around in a circle like a child. Just spin around and around and around and around and around and around. So there's Buddhist teaching that everything is fundamentally still, as it is. You never make mind still. You can't make mind still. It's already still and unmoving. But in your life, everything seems like it's always moving. Stress, busy, many things. Yeah, that can happen. But if you attach to those things, it seems like this whole world is moving, spinning. You're dizzy. That's why many people are developing many sorts of problems nowadays with their relationships, with their own minds, because everything looks like it's moving too quickly. But it's just like the person spinning around and around and around and around and around. If you spin around, the whole room is moving. If you do that, the whole room is moving so quickly that when you stop, you're like drunk person. But nothing ever moved. I am sitting there watching them. I never moved. The window never moved. The floor never moved. The walls never moved. But to that person, if you attach to your thinking experience, your perception, the whole world is moving. That's why we say, ilche yu shimjo. Everything is created by mind alone. So if you attach to your mind experience, then this whole world is always moving. Also, your mind is always moving. Your experience is always moving. That's why there's so much more suffering, because everyone is spinning really fast. Maybe you can spin around in a room for maybe 30 seconds at most, not even that, before you have to stop. Some people fall down. Really fall down. I'm sitting there watching. How funny. Spinning, 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 then fall down. Why fall down? Oh, the whole room is, we say in English, the room is spinning. The room is not spinning. The room never moved. But you attach to this experience, so this room is spinning. I think, therefore, I am. I think this room is spinning out of control, therefore I am spinning. Everything is created by this mind alone. So when the mind experiences movement, the world is moving. If you attach to your sadness, the world is sad. If you attach to your jealousy, everything is jealous, pain, suffering. If you attach to your anger, attach to it, everything is suffering. So Buddhism is amazing. Other situations, maybe psychology or psychoanalysis, tries to solve this by analyzing the spinning. That's the difference between Buddhism and psychology. Psychology, not bad. If you go to get some therapy, maybe if you want to do that, that's no problem. But that's like someone spinning around who analyzes, someone else sitting in the room says, now, what does the spinning, who made the spinning happen? How did the spinning happen? Does the spinning affect you in an emotional way? What are your emotions about the spinning? How, when you spun yesterday, how did you feel? Would you like to cry about it a little bit? Okay. Analysis of the spinning doesn't stop the spinning. Understanding the spinning, even in this example, in that moment doesn't help. Buddhism says, don't touch the spinning. Just stop. Just stop. Return to your nature, which means let go of your thinking. That's all. Don't push it away. Just let go of your thinking. Then no more spinning. Let go of your anger. Then no more anger. Yeah, anger is there, but it's empty. That means not there. But when you hold it, it's real. It's very simple. So, in Buddhism, everything is created by mind alone. 일체 유심조. Number one high-class teaching. If you get that, how do you get it? What am I? When you ask that, there's nothing there. There's no place for your anger. There's no place for your sadness. It's very simple. Okay? So, Buddha is your real body, your original mind. Mind has no form or characteristic, no cause or effect, no tendons or bones. It's like space. Oh, maybe we said that about 500 times here. It's like space. You can't hold it. Mind is like space. You can't hold it. It's not the mind of materialists or nihilists. That's a very interesting point. This is not nihilism. Mind is not there. Some people interpret that to say Buddhism is nihilistic, negative. It's not. It's actually scientific. It's actually scientific. It's not there. Look for yourself. It's not there. So if you see that, you're free. You're free of the materialistic, not like object materialistic, of matter, trap of mind. It's not there. So how can it bind you? How can it trap you? It's not there. It's not the mind of materialists or nihilists. Except for a Buddha, except for a Tathagata, no one else, no sentient being, no deluded being can fathom it. But this mind isn't somewhere outside the material body of the four elements. Mind is not something outside this body. Without mind, we can't move. Body has no awareness. This body has no awareness. It has no awareness. Like a plant or a stone, body has no nature, this itself. So how does it move? It's mind that moves. That's also just a word. Language and behavior, perception and conception are all functions of this moving mind. So don't attach to your thinking at all. It's the same teaching. We have to stop these talks because it's the same thing over and over again. That's why Zen is this shortcut. It's this shortcut because you don't need to go through understanding to get there. I have many friends who study Tibetan Buddhism. Tibetan Buddhism is an incredible incredible tradition and very, very popular all over the world and helping many, 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 many millions of people all over the world. Zen is different in one way. Some traditions, even in Buddhism, try to get to this perception of mind through understanding. Understand mind is this structure, this. Memorize this. Here's a picture, maybe a tenghua or something. This. It's like this form with this level, and this is the being in the middle, and this God rules this level, and this is the God of this level, and this is guided by this level, and this is the structure of this. That's using understanding to get to the place where, as he said before, the place where understanding can't go, where thinking can't go. Zen is interesting, because Zen uses no understanding, the experience, the place where thinking can't go, to point to that. That's all, because that's the place. That's all. Zen uses that. It's very simple. So it seems difficult, but it's not. Hence, the sutras tell us to move without moving, to travel without traveling, to see without seeing, to laugh without laughing, to hear without hearing, to know without knowing, to be happy without being happy, to walk without walking, to stand without standing. And the sutras say, go beyond language, go beyond thinking. We call that before thinking. Very simple word is only don't know. Only don't know. That's the way. Before thinking. Basically, seeing, hearing, and knowing are completely empty. Your anger, joy, or pain is like the anger, joy, or pain of a puppet. Your anger, your joy, your pain, it's like the suffering of a puppet. Yeah? You see your friend, I'm so miserable. I cannot do, I'm so miserable. Oh, I want to die. I am so miserable. To them, the pain seems real. But if you look at that, that's not your pain. It's like the suffering of a puppet. It has no independent reality. It only is dependent on their mind. It doesn't exist outside their mind. It doesn't exist for you. Very simple. So, we always think, oh, someone else, why are they suffering? So stupid. That's so stupid why they have that suffering. So dumb. They don't need that. But then when it's time for us to suffer, oh, it's so real. You don't understand. You don't understand. This is real. Yeah. A real dream. So, just don't attach to it. Suffering time, just suffer. But don't be attached to it. Then the suffering disappears. But because we believe it's real and we hold it, we suffer more. I once asked our teacher, we had one of these talks up in the Sompang upstairs, and our teacher, Zen Master Sung-san, would come every single morning, would come from his room in Hwagesa all the way up to the Kukje Sawan, every single morning, and give us a little Dharma talk in English. He would talk to us in his English, and then he would answer questions. And he gave this teaching, and it was very, very, very simple and very clear. And so I asked him one time, it's on a tape, you can hear it. I said, sir, if this is so, why do human beings suffer? This teaching is so clear. It's so clear. Why do human beings suffer? And his answer is very interesting. It will never be as interesting coming out of my mouth as if he did. You have to get this recording just for this one sentence. 4 words. It's even half of what we gave you before. Hopefully we'll get down to 2 words, to 1 word, and then just you'll be left with this today. I said, why do human beings suffer? They have this teaching. They can see their mind is empty. Suffering is not real. Why do human beings suffer? And he said, because they like that. Laughing. To him it was very, not really funny, but the irony. Why do human beings suffer? Because they like it. They like the suffering, actually, in a sick kind of way. Because they like it. The habit, you feel strong. You feel alive when you're suffering sometimes. You feel powerful. No one can touch me. I'm suffering right now. My life has some meaning, and you'll never understand it. You'll never get it, why I'm suffering. That mind. Why do human beings suffer? Because they like it. Very interesting view. Yeah, very interesting view. Sutras say, go beyond language, go beyond thought. Basically, seeing, hearing, and knowing are completely empty. Your anger, joy, or pain is like that of a puppet. You can search, but you won't find a thing. Just like the story I told before. My knee was in total pain. The knee was in pain, and my mind was in pain because I couldn't move. And this guy's going to hit me. So a little frustrated. So you think that's real, you suffer. But when you looked inside, there's nothing there. Just exactly like Bodhidharma says. It's like that of a puppet. When I looked inside, there's no suffering thing. Really. It has no suffering place, actually. And if you look at the suffering itself, it's not there. It's actually, literally, you can't hold it. Someone who has suffering, cut open their body and look at the suffering thing. It doesn't, the sickness maybe you can see, but the sickness is not suffering. Look at the suffering itself. It's not there. You can search, but you won't find a thing. You heard it from me first. It's an experience you can have. According to the sutras, evil deeds result in hardships and good deeds result in blessings. Angry people go to hell and happy people go to heaven. But once you know that the nature of anger and joy is empty and you let them go, you free yourself from karma. That sentence is amazing. If you don't see your nature, quoting sutras is no help. Don't go home and impress your friends with what you heard about this or what you saw on TV about Bodhidharma Sutra. Don't quote it to your friends, because that won't help. I could go on and on and on and on. But this brief Dharma talk will have to do for now. So that's the end of that. So, according to the sutras, evil deeds, according to scriptures, according to the Bible, according to maybe the Quran, according to the Palmante Jangyong, evil deeds result in hardships and good deeds result in blessings. If you do bad things, you go to hell. If you do good things, you go to heaven. Angry people go to hell, and happy people go to heaven. But once you know that the nature of anger and joy is empty, when you know that the anger is empty, whatever your anger is, when you see that joy is empty, when you see that pain is empty, fundamentally, when you see that sadness is empty, frustration, jealousy, fear, worry, when you look into it and you see it's empty, you let it go. Then, at that moment, you free yourself from karma. Only in that moment. So, our teacher used to teach, free from karma. Free from karma. Free from karma means, he would always say, perceive your karma. People would always ask, how do we say free from karma? How become free from karma? If you want to become free from karma, he would say, first you must perceive your karma. Then, not holding karma, right? That's just like Bodhidharma. You see that it's empty, so you let it go. You don't hold your karma. Then, you can use your karma. Very interesting. Perceive karma, my suffering. Then you see it's empty. That means you let go of karma. Then you can use this karma to save all beings from suffering. Karma itself is not good, not bad. How much do you attach to it? That obscures your mind, That's all. So, that's the end of this sutra. If you don't see your nature, even quoting this, like they do on some other television channels, where the other religion people talk, cannot help you. Today in the subway, coming from Seoul to Hwagesa, some wonderful man quoted from his sutra to me in his head. But it didn't help me. He's only repeating his karma to me. What is interesting? What is interesting to me? Cannot help me. But if you see your nature, then when you see someone, have a good day. Yeah? That's better than the Bible. Better than the Palman Daejangyeong. So, this sutra is only pointing to that. The Bodhidharma Sutra, the Bloodstream Sutra, is not something itself. This is not interesting to study itself, for itself. We don't look at this for the words in it. We're not interested. I'm not interested in Bodhidharma's sutra, actually. Not interested in it. I've talked about this one or two other times. I don't even remember the lines in it. I have a terrible memory. Just forget. But if by listening to this you got some inspiration about, this is not it. This cannot save me. Something cannot save me. Money cannot save me. Fame cannot save me. Fear, anger, worry, power, reputation cannot save me. Religion also cannot save me unless I look into my nature. That saves me. Why? Because I'm already saved. I'm already complete. This nature is already complete. There's nothing that can save it. It's already saved. Then the next step is, how does that function to help all beings? How does that function to help all beings? That's all. So this Bodhidharma teaching is not about Bodhidharma teaching. Many mistakes. Even opening my mouth to talk about this is a big mistake because it makes more and more and more and more talking karma. And now it also comes out on TV. So more and more and more and more TV watching karma. Big mistake. But like my teacher said, see karma. Let go of karma. Use karma to save all beings from suffering. So everyone use this teaching. Look inside. What am I? What am I? Then this teaching has some meaning. If you don't look inside, this is all just lips moving. It's a 그림자 세상. It's just a shadow world. My words are shadow, covering your true nature. So I hope you use these words. Look inside. Then in the middle of this suffering world, you find this completeness, this inner peace. Then you can use this to save all beings from suffering. Then when someone comes to you on the subway and has some interesting news for you, you don't get angry, you don't get worried, you don't get moved. Just, have a good day. Then you're already practicing the true way. That's all. Okay, so thank you everyone for attending these talks. Next time we will begin one of Bodhidharma's other teachings, because we have a agreement with some people to talk about it, called the Wake Up Sermon, and we'll do that in the next couple of talks. Thank you everyone for attending these talks.